Hello and welcome to day 3 of our challenge, where we're going to be going over a slow flow again to work on our back bends. So it's freezing today, so I had to put a jumper on, which means I'm wearing my microphone on my head in my hair, because if I put it here where I normally do, I'm going to be shouting into the microphone, so hopefully you can still hear me good. Today's class, you are going to need some props, so grab some cushions or a rolled up blanket, and we'll come into our first pose, which is going to be on our backs. So place some blankets or pillows down. Bring your bum flat on the ground, knees bent, and then we're going to lean back onto the props. Now I want your head resting on the props here. So if you have 2 pillows, it's really nice to stack them and then have them kind of come at the top of your back so you can rest your head. Okay, so we've got a nice heart opener going on here. Now, wiggle your bum a little bit. Make sure that your low spine, your tailbone, is on the ground. And then from here, you can lengthen out the legs. Maybe bring the arms down by the sides. Hello, Holly. Bums faced up. And we're just going to take a couple of breaths here. Maybe even closing down the eyes. Take a big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Relax that back onto your props. And again, big inhale. And exhale. One more time, big inhale, really feel your lungs expand. As you exhale, feel everything relax. Just come back to your natural breath. Okay, let's bend the knees, plant your feet flat on the ground. Use your elbows to prop yourself up, just so you can remove the props and come flat on your back. Okay, so now your head is on the ground. Palms are now going to face downwards. Bring in your heels quite close towards your bum. I always like to be able to feel them with my fingertips, but completely up to you. Feet hips distance. Now stay looking up to the ceiling. If you need to see what I'm doing, lower down to the ground and have a look. But we're going to lift our hips up, come into your bridge pose. So when your hips are lifted, you don't want to turn your neck. So lift your hips here, really push your pelvis up. Couple of breaths. Maybe even tucking the shoulder blades under slightly so you can open the chest a little bit more. And then slowly lower your hips back down to the ground. Okay, let's hug the knees in, grab behind the thighs, tuck your chin, and gently rock backwards and forwards until we roll ourselves up into a seated position. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get here. Okay, lengthen out the legs. Now I'm going to give you a couple variations for this one. What I would like you to do is lean onto your right hip, bend your left leg so that your left heel comes close towards your left hip. Okay, now this is called half hero pose. Now if this feels too much, grab your props, sit up on your props. It's going to give you a little bit of extra height. And then do the same thing. Okay, this is going to be a little bit easier, okay, because your leg doesn't have as far to go. So take your variation. Now, again, we've got different options. If you're up on some pillows, you can use your hands and gently lean back slightly, okay, as long as you're feeling something. If you're not on any pillows, we're going to do the same thing, but maybe you're going to come lower. So we're going to come down onto our elbows. Maybe you stay here. If this feels too much, stay here. If it doesn't, maybe you come all the way down onto your back. Maybe you use your left hand to hold onto your left ankle and keep it in place. And just relax here. So let's take a couple of breaths here. So remember, everybody's body is going to be different. Go to whatever feels okay for you. Now, the higher up you have the props, the less of a stretch you're going to feel, but maybe that's where you have to start. And then eventually you can work down and work down and work down, okay? You don't have to come straight to this pose. This challenge is all about gaining flexibility, so it's going to depend on where you are at right now. Slow, long inhales. Remember, every time we take a long exhale, we're sending that signal to the body to relax. And that is where the magic happens. That is where your muscles are going to start lengthening. Okay, if you are on your back, use your elbows, walk yourself back up. Bring the left foot out. Maybe just bounce the knees up and down, shake it out a little. Roll onto your left hip, right leg bends up. Right ankle now comes against the right thigh, or right hip. And again, maybe you stay here. Maybe you sit yourself up on blocks and bring yourself up higher. Notice that both sides are probably going to feel different. So you might be able to get lower on one side than you can on the other. Maybe one side you need props and one side you don't, okay? Listen to your body. Go till you feel that slight stretch and hold it there. Do not push yourself too much. So maybe you stay here, maybe you come down onto your elbows, maybe you come down onto your back. It doesn't matter if that knee rises a little, but the aim is to try to keep it low. So if you've come back and your knee has gone up really high, that's a good indication that you've gone way too far. Okay, so prop up onto your elbows, keep that knee low. So I'm not actively pushing my knee down, it's just naturally staying down, okay? So take your variation, a couple of breaths here, relaxing the back, relaxing the hips and the quads as much as possible. And just take notice here if this side feels harder, if it feels easier. If you get any knee pain while you're in these poses, then come up to the next stage, okay? Make it easier. We don't want any kind of knee pain. Any knee pain in yoga is bad, okay? We don't want any pain. Uncomfortable sensations in the muscles, that's fine. That's what we're going for. But no pain, no sharp pain. Now, what I would normally do is whatever side I am feeling it the most, I would make sure that I take an extra breath there. So when I practice my own practice, that's what I do. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you're on your back, use your elbows, come on up. Bring that right foot out in front. Again, just bounce the knees up and down. Now, one more time with our hero pose. I'm going to do both legs now. So again, you may need the props. You may need to come up higher, okay, because this is going to be harder. So we're going to, if you want to try both legs like me, come onto your knees first. Okay, now if you want props, have the props. Stack yourself up as high as you need to. Knees together, sit in between your knees, in between your ankles. Notice what's going on with your legs here. Are you having any knee pain? If you are, come up a bit higher and stay up, okay? We don't want any pain in the knee. Maybe you stay here. It doesn't matter if your knees come apart slightly. Maybe you come onto your elbows. Maybe you come all the way down to the ground. Okay, so again, just listen to your body. Now, what can happen in this pose, if you're on a hard surface like myself, your bones might hurt on the floor, okay? So we don't want that because you want to be able to relax a little bit in the pose. And if you're thinking, this hurts, your body's going to start tensing again. So grab a blanket or something to pad up underneath your feet. Just a couple breaths here. Remember, if you're up on props, you can lean back slightly, but don't come down to the ground, okay? Because you're going to be adding an even bigger arch to your back. Slow inhales, slow exhales. If you're on your back, come up onto your elbows, come up to seated, roll over and come to your knees. I've just found a wood louse on my yoga mat. That's random. How am I going to get that off? Okay, it's crawling off. It's fine. It's going to make its own way. That's because the cat's coming in and out of the cat flap, I think. Sometimes they cling on to him or her, Holly, and bring them in. Okay, so on to the next pose that we're going to do. We're going to sit back onto our heels. I'm just going to lean forward so you can see. We're going to bring our left hand behind us. Now, if the floor seems too far away, grab either a yoga block or like books to bring your hand up higher. Plant your hand on the ground. Your chest is going to turn slightly to the left, okay? So my left hand's down, I'm turned slightly to the left. I'm going to lift my hips up as far as I can, push them forward to the top of the mat. Right arm is going to come up and over. A little bit of a back bend here. You might feel this in the left hip. Push your hips as far forward as you can. And then slowly lower back down. We're going to bring our right hand down. What I like to do is sweep them in front. Right hand comes behind. Lift your hips up. Left hand comes up and over. So it's a little bit like a camel pose, but a little bit of a different variation. Lower those hips back down. We're going to take that into a bit of a movement now. So again, hands in front, left hand behind. Inhale as you bring your hips up. Exhale as you come down. Sweep your hands round. Right hand comes down. Inhale, hips go up. Exhale down, sweep it around. Inhale up, feel like a cheerleader. Exhale down, sweep it around. Right hand behind. Inhale up. Exhale down. Left hand down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last time, right hand down. Inhale those hips forward. Exhale back down. Sweep it around. Left hand. Lift those hips up. Right hand comes up. Exhale back down. Okay. Let's come forward onto our stomach. So you may need to shuffle your knees backwards. Slowly lower down. Bring those elbows underneath the shoulders into your Sphinx pose. Ground down through the tops of your feet. Lift that chest up. Let's take a couple breaths here. Notice how your low back feels. If it feels a little bit tight, widen those feet. Okay, let's bring the right hand across the front of the body. Left knee's going to bend up. Now, if you can't reach behind with your left hand and grab your foot, just actively bring that left foot close towards your bum. If you can grab it, grab hold of it and bring it as close as you can towards your bum. Okay, so you're really pulling it in. Maybe even slide your hand down and rest on the inside of your left arm. And then look towards the front of your mat. Take a couple of breaths here. Release that leg. Same thing other side. Left arm comes across. Again, maybe you just kick up that right leg. Maybe you reach behind. Maybe you can pull it close towards your bum. Maybe you slide it on the inside of the right arm. Look towards the top of your mat. Couple breaths here. So we're not just working on the back here. We're working on the front of the hips and the quads. Again, make sure you're not sinking into that shoulder. Releasing that down. Bring the hands back next to the chest. Inhale to your cobra. Lift your chest off the ground. Elbows bent. Keep your pelvis flat on the ground. Exhale back down. Inhale, push back up onto your knees. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. So remember, in your down dog, you don't have to straighten the legs. Just push the chest backwards and lift your hips up high to the sky. And then let's flow forward into plank. Lower the knees. Untuck the toes. Keeping your hands where they are. Drop your chest to in the middle of your hands. Okay, so your bum sticks up, elbows are bent. It's quite awkward looking. And then slide yourself through onto your belly. Inhale, roll your shoulders back, lift the chest to cobra. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale back up onto your knees. Keeping your hips above your knees, take your hands out nice and long in front of you. Drop your chest down for a little puppy pose. Maybe you rest your forehead. Maybe you look towards the top of your mat. Try to keep those elbows lifted. Remember, if you are lower, it's going to look like your elbows are on the ground, but try to actively lift them up. Just to get a little bit more into the chest and the shoulders now. Couple breaths here. Every exhale, try and get that chest closer to the ground. And then slowly lift the chest. Walk the hands back in, toes together, knees wide. Quick child's pose. Sit your hips down towards your heels and relax everything down. Maybe you rest your forehead on the ground. Just take a couple of breaths here just to lengthen back out the spine. It doesn't matter if your hips are nowhere near your heels, just relax everything down. And then slowly lift your head, walk your hands back up, and we're just going to come into one more pose. So bring your legs back out in front, and we're going to come back to our starting position. So grab your props, bring them behind you, keeping your bum on the ground, lean back onto your props, head comes onto them. Shuffle your bum, make sure your low spine is flat on the ground. Maybe palms face up, maybe lengthening out the legs, maybe bringing the soles of your feet together and knees wide. So just take whichever variation feels okay for you. Let's just take a couple of breaths here. Remember to take some nice long inhales and exhales. Really calm that body. So not only are we opening up the body here, but we also have energy points running from the base of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head. And when we take nice deep back bends, we open up all of those focus points. And it just helps to let your energy flow a little bit more freely. Helping your mind stay clearer and more focused. And helping the body. If you had your legs open, just bring them back together. Maybe use your elbows just to come up to seated. And that's us done for today. Thank you so much for joining me for day 3. So yesterday we took it nice and slow with some yin. Today a little bit quicker with the slow flow. And then tomorrow is a little bit quicker again with the vinyasa. It's a little bit more of what I like to call like a yoga dance. It's a little bit more flowy and creative. It can be quite fun. So don't take it too seriously. And on day 5, we are going to test out your back bends. I'm going to help you to try to get into wheel pose. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks if you do find it really difficult, and then you will be there in no time. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow.